Good morning, everybody. Another day, second day, jury duty. Today is more of the selection process to weed more people out. Judge says that this case, it's a criminal case, should go no farther than Friday, maybe Monday, but she said she's rarely had cases that went over her predicted time. So today we're going to get more information in regards to the case. There's 75 of us in the jury pool, and they're going to weed out a whole bunch of people, based on whatever. Out of 75 people that I counted yesterday, there were 6 blacks. Now, to you guys, you're probably saying, okay, who cares, whatever. But that goes to show you the reduction of black people in California. I mean, this is, not a phenomenon. If you talk to a lot of people who are from California, you don't see that many black people anymore. So, in a situation, if you are a black person and you are in a criminal case, you're not being judged by your peers. So, I thought that was disheartening, and the defendant is a black man. It makes me wonder, Joe Biden admits that his crime bill incarcerated, and they say in the 90s, over 1 million black people in the 90s, and separated black families. You hear about all these, Hispanics and stuff talking about, oh, they're separating families. They're taking my husband. I watched YouTube the other day, and this lady, husband has been in the country for, I think this was in Texas. Her husband has been in the country for 28 years and never got his paperwork together, never did anything he was supposed to do. He had 4 years under Biden to get your stuff done, and this person didn't do it. And the lady screaming, they're separating families, they're separating families. And in the video, you see people kind of standing around, standing offish, because there's really nothing you can do. If you obstruct, you're going to get a charge, right? So, as a lady saying that, I'm looking at myself and I'm saying, well, where was the Hispanics and all of these liberals when black people were being falsely incarcerated? Weren't they being separated from their families? Where was the outrage then? And I'm talking about the disparity of blacks versus everybody else. We're one of the smallest groups in the United States, but yet we are 70% of the prison population. And a lot of people, I don't care what your background is, are in jail because of nonviolent offenses. So what happened to the weed pardons? Since weed is legal in a lot of states, why aren't these people released? Democrats were in power for 4 years. What happened here? They're supposed to be for the people. So anyway, story time real quick. I want to talk to you guys something that happened yesterday. Oh my God, in Benny. It's still kind of cold out here. There's snow in the mountains. That's why you see me in my jacket and stuff. Still, it's a little chilly, but it's warming up. The storms have passed. So when the storm hit, all the snow falls on the mountains and stuff. So the mountains are about 30 minutes from where I'm at right now. So that chill comes down the valley. You could feel it. So I put Benny out, and I put a little blanket in his little dog house that I made for him. And of course, when I get home, he's probably going to tear that whole thing up, and it's going to be everywhere. But I felt, because it's kind of cold, so I felt bad. So let me put, something in there so that he can sleep. Because, he isn't going to be using the dog house like that. But if I have to go to certain places for a couple of hours, at least I know he has shelter if it rains or, something goes down. But I know he's, I got to find a way to hammer or permanently put a fixture in there. But, him being a pity, he wants to tear everything out, so, I get home, there's going to be fluff and stuff all over the yard and stuff. So anyway, I take Benny out early yesterday morning before I came to court, and there were so many people, jurors yesterday, they had to break it up into two groups. The first group was like 350 people. The second group was 250. So I didn't have to show up until the afternoon. So now, it's in the morning, whatever. So I'm at Adrian Mitchell Park early in the morning. Nobody's there, right? And, the rule is if you're walking your dog should be leashed. I totally agree with that. Well, unless it was my dog, Belle, because Belle, she wasn't a dog, okay? Belle was not a dog, all right? So Belle never had to be leashed. Okay, so, but anyway, that's the rule. And when I'm walking Benny, because he is a pitty and they have an unfair reputation to them, I leash my dog when I'm walking him. But to get the energy out of him, I play fetch. And, you guys seen that little tool where you get it and you can throw it and the ball goes super far, without not so much effort. Because as I'm older, I can't throw it because it's like if I throw something, then I throw my shoulder out or my elbow gets messed up. So I'm there early, and I'm playing ball with my dog. I'm in the middle of the field, and I'm just throwing. The dog is going on. I know people say, why don't you just go to the dog park? I think dog parks, it's a good idea in theory, but it's a bad idea because you might be a great pet owner and get your dog vaccinated and you do all the right things. But unfortunately, there are a lot of people that don't do that. And because of that, your dog might catch a disease or something because of the interaction with other people's dogs who aren't vaccinated or who don't have certain things, right? So Adrian Mitchell, and even with Belle, I didn't really let Belle interact with other dogs too much. I just didn't do it. People, yes, but other dogs, very rare that I let her do that. So early in the morning, I got to get this energy out of her so she can just chill out while I'm gone. And I'm throwing the ball. So, there's this homeless guy who lives in an RV. Every day he comes to the park and, puts his solar thing out. And he's doing the RV life, right? Nothing wrong with that. So I'm out there and I'm very observant. Adrian Mitchell Park was somebody I knew, an acquaintance of mine, and I always, make sure the park is maintained. I make sure the graffiti is, called in and all kinds of stuff because I don't want her memory besmirched, right? First black female soldier in my city. First black soldier, period, in my city that was killed in combat, okay? Adrian Mitchell. So anyway. So I see the guy drive up, I'm just playing with my dog, whatever it is, and I'm minding my own business. And the guy gets out of his RV with his trash. He's going to throw it in the trash in the park. No problem. I don't have any problems with the guy. I don't interact. I'm trying to concentrate on my dog because he's unleashed and he's still a puppy. So he's easily distracted, right? Even though he's not an aggressive pitty, unfair reputation, right? So I don't want him to go to people, whatever. So I'm trying to concentrate on my dog. So the guy gets out of his RV and he says, hey, could you leash your dog? Because he had a dog. And he's like, could you leash your dog? You're supposed to leash your dog and blah, blah, blah. But, and I looked at him and I said, no. Well, you're supposed to leash your dog. I got my dog and da, 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 da. I said, understood. However, I'm playing ball with my dog and I can't play ball with my dog if he's leashed. Thus the whole point of what I'm saying, right? And he's just like, well, the rule is whatever. And I said, sir, that is when you are walking your dog. Read the sign. Dogs must be leashed. When you're walking your dog, you leash your dog, which I do. But I'm playing ball with my dog. Throwing the ball a very long distance. Oh, and Benny is, he's a good ball fetcher, whatever it does. Just terrier speed. And so I'm looking at the guy and I'm trying to be respectful because he's an older gentleman. And I'm trying to be respectful. And I'm just like, in the back of my head, I'm just like, the nerve The nerve. So my question to you guys is, what would you do? Right? And I'm thinking, if I drove up and I saw somebody there before me, either I'm going to mind my own business and just do what I need to do with my dog and leash my dog and worry about my dog, or I'm going to wait till that person's done because they were there before me. Then if I have any concerns, take my dog out and do what I got to do. Do you see what I'm saying? And so, I didn't want to get in a back and forth with the guy. And I just said, I was, respectful as I could be, but I had to be stern because I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's the way I look. I don't know what it is, but I don't seem to be getting the respect that I should be getting for my age. And it's almost like these people think I'm just this, young, punk type guy or something like that. I don't know what it is. What, because you're 55, you're supposed to look all broken up and grayed out and stuff like that. We don't look like that. So, I just said what I said, continued to do what I had to do. And, once I was done, like I do all the time, I just moved on, and the guy was like, okay, he didn't want a confrontation or nothing like that, and I just moved on and went home and put Benny in his cage and came to court. But I was just thinking to myself, what is going on where people have this entitlement to where they think it's them first? And by the way, when I was done playing ball with my dog, I leashed him and we walked out of the park. But, what would you guys have done in a situation like that? Because I don't know if I come off kind of, as you guys know, I'm very sarcastic, but I don't know what it is. I just don't know what it is where these older people, they don't seem to give me the respect that I'm due. You know what I mean? I know respect is earned, but if you don't know me, don't assume this or that. The funny thing is younger people can tell I'm an older person. It might be just, I don't know. Maybe it's just something that's going on, but, yeah, just one of those things. But I'll be at court all day today. And if I get selected, I get selected. If I don't, I don't. I'll see them next year. So went to bed early last night. I was just beat. Didn't even go to the gym. So hopefully I can get out of here early enough where I can go to the gym. So we'll see how it goes. All right, you guys, have a blessed day. Be safe out there. Stay warm if you're in an environment like that. And today, by the way, Naval Air Station, North Island, 12 o'clock this afternoon, flight going to Hawaii. Roll call is 12 o'clock, so you got to be there by at least 10. So 25 seats. Anyway. All right, you guys, I will talk to you guys mañana. Have a great day.